everyone, it's Brandy from Brandy Burrow Astrology back with Ellie Adams for another Forensic Astrology video. Thanks, Ellie, for coming back.
Thank you for having me back.
Of course. And so this is kind of part two. We're talking about the actors on Poltergeist who died way too young. So on Ellie's channel, we did kind of a part one on Heather O'Rourke, who was Carol Ann from Poltergeist. This one is about Dominique Dunne, who was the sister Dana, who died right after the movie was released, and very tragic. So we're going to cover the Forensic Astrology with her death. And so I invite you to go to Ellie's channel to catch part one, and then you'll catch part two here. So thank you, Ellie, for joining. Dominique Dunne, this is really sad because she was murdered by her boyfriend. She met him, his name, I guess I don't even want to say his name, but it's John Thomas Sweeney. He was a chef in the LA area, from what I understand, 17 years older than her. So when she passed away, she's 22. So she's pretty young. This guy's in his late 30s.
And it's like, look, I'm just going to say, what the fuck you doing with the 22-year-old?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, and that might sound judgmental. That might be my Virgo midheaven coming out. I don't give a shit. It's like, what are you doing with a 22-year-old?
There's a lot of questions because she is, I know I'm just going to be like, just no filter here. Some of you guys might think this is judgmental, but it is what it is. She is from a really good family. Okay. They're somewhat in the entertainment business. He comes from a family that has a lot of abuse, alcoholism. And so they're coming from very different backgrounds. She's young, he's older. He is a chef. She is an up and coming actress. Now, I'm not saying like people like that can't pair up and have connections, but there's just a lot of just things that don't make sense. And but anyways, she meets him in 1981. They move in together like a week later. So there must have been an intense attraction, some kind of chemistry, because they move in a week later into a West Hollywood home. This guy, beat her up numerous times. And so basically there's an off and on thing going on with them. She finally leaves and says, no more. She, is in Poltergeist. It's a hit movie. After she's done filming Poltergeist, she is signed on to do V, the TV series V. I don't know if you remember that from the 80s, but she was going to be in it, had filmed half the scenes, and then was at home one night practicing lines with another actor from V, and this ex-boyfriend shows up and kills her, and so she never gets to finish the project. But so we're going to start with what happens on that night he shows up at her house. Did the backstory make sense? Did I leave out anything? Any questions? Okay.
It made sense.
I'm basically reading it. I'm trying to give you kind of a quick snapshot here, of how this works. But okay, so this is the night of October 30th,
okay,
1982. 9 p.m. in West Hollywood. So she's at her house with a fellow actor. They're practicing their lines. He shows up. They are broken up at this point. She agrees to go outside and talk to him, even though she doesn't really want to. And so she goes outside to the driveway, and this is within minutes, the guy she was practicing the lines with can hear commotion going on outside, can hear screams for help. He does not look very good in this story because he did not know what to do. He was scared. He calls the police, and this is right before 911, I guess. So you just actually call the police station. They basically told him to not be a wimp and go out and handle it.
No, it's good he didn't, because I'm looking at this chart with that Gemini rising. It's good he didn't, because he might have ended up not here anymore too.
Yeah. So he hears all this. The police say, handle it yourself, go beat the guy up. It was kind of weird. The police didn't really respond to this. And so he waits a couple minutes, from what I understand, doesn't hear anything else going on, goes outside, sees Dominique Dunne, sees her lifeless body, outside with her ex-boyfriend leaning over, looking at her, and the ex-boyfriend says, "I killed her." The actor guy takes off and runs because it scared him. And the ex-boyfriend chases after him and catches him and says, "No, you need to go call the police." So it's kind of a weird thing going on with this.
Yeah.
So that's when the police respond. But this is the time the event occurs when he shows up and this all goes down. It is interesting that it's a Gemini ascendant.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder that if he had gone out there, or I really do wonder if he had gone out there earlier, if perhaps there would have been two victims. But that Mars in the 7th house, that fucker is aggressive. It's at 29 degrees.
Yeah.
In the house of the perpetrator. Yeah, that it's like, damn. It's also the ruler of the moon in this chart, with the moon in Aries, also feels fucking aggressive.
It's very aggressive. And it's like, I don't want to say like if, it's like going outside to meet him. It's like that kind of puts her on his turf, even though
Yes.
it's at her residence. That's like, ooh, that's it. It's like hindsight's 2020. I wish she could have just kept the door closed and been like, no,
Yeah.
But there's something about going on his turf that really, really puts her in danger here.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it definitely does.
I found the 5th house to be like super interesting because like that is a loaded 5th house.
It really is. It makes me think, with her being Mercury, or the Gemini rising, it makes me think that like she was probably enjoying herself before, you know what I mean? Like, this is also a house that deals with, like, can deal with dating and stuff like that. Now it sounds like they were more serious when they were together than just, I'm sorry, this might get loud. I might start having to scream because some asshole starting up his bike over there. I'm sorry about that.
You're good. I can't hear it, so you're fine.
Okay, good. But yeah, I know that well, I don't know how long were they together?
So they met in 1981. This happens October 30th, 1982. So a year-ish.
Yeah, because that's usually like a house you'll see for like dating or like that kind of stuff. But
like the beginnings, like kind of like, dating, new romance, having fun.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting that is also that the ruler for her is also in that house.
Here's what I wonder. It feels like the astrology is really reflecting, as usual, what's going on, because she's practicing lines. Like this is a traditionally like a Leo type house where there's entertainment.
Yeah.
And, she's practicing lines for a new TV show. But look at Venus and Scorpio here.
Yeah.
I think it set him off that there was a guy here, even though it was.
Yeah. Coworkers. Yeah, but yeah, it could have. It really could have.
Yeah, it feels like there's like definitely a jealousy thing. And of course, the perpetrator, which would be the ex-boyfriend, is ruled by Jupiter in this chart, and he's right there in this house.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he is.
I don't know if I'm going too far with this. I'm trying to, 5th house we typically see with children. She's not a child. She's 22, but almost like with the age difference,
yes, that yes, absolutely. Because yeah, she's an adult, but I don't know. When I think back to when I was 22, I was a fucking baby. Like, and I don't mean that in any. I just was. You're still trying to figure out how to adult and how to. I don't know. I'm almost 36 and I'm still trying to fucking figure out how to adult. But you're really still trying to figure it out, at 22. So yeah, I think that could totally point to her being much younger than him. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just reading this chart literally, by the signs that their rulers are in, I think gives a little bit of the personality here. You know, she's represented by Mercury and Venus. I mean, in Libra, Venus ruled sign. But Libra being caring, like kind of like trying to have harmony, trying to be diplomatic. It makes me think in this situation, she's just trying to be nice. Like, he's upset again. You know, she's been abused by him numerous times. Could have been she was afraid and felt like she had to put him at ease. He is in a sign like Scorpio that's like obsessive, jealous, wants control.
And what was the reason he was going over there?
He just wanted to talk to her again.
I think he wanted to get back together with her.
Yes, always. But she had finally, like, from what I understand, put her foot down and said, no, this is done. Because
and good for her. It just in that fifth house, it's almost like, let's kind of start the dating thing again. It kind of
yeah. Now, it's been claimed he had tried to strangle her before in other altercations. She had told a friend that he was trying to kill her. I mean, this guy is disgusting.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. So here's what happens. You know, this attack happens. She actually did not die instantly. She was found unresponsive, taken to, I believe, Cedars-Sinai Hospital in LA, where she was on life support until November 4th. So I did pull the chart for the actual time that she passes away.
I wonder if, just real quick, if not dying right away could be indicated by Capricorn on the cusp of the 8th. You know, Capricorn, there can be like a delay, right? Same with Saturn, a delay.
There can be delay, yeah. And it's kind of interesting because Saturn, the ruler, is in Libra, where it's exalted.
Meaning an exaggeration. So it could make it, yeah.
So she was declared, I'm sorry, I don't know what the right term is, brain dead. I know there's probably a nicer way to say that. That feels very Saturn exalted. You know what I mean? Like you're alive, but.
Especially conjunct that Mercury, right? With the, the mind.
Yeah. Would you like to see the next chart of?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, let's see. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I'm still trying to get over eclipse energy. I feel like my head's just not together. It takes me a little longer to switch charts here. This is the time where she actually passes away. Her family did make the decision to take her off life support, and this is when she passes. This is November 4th, so about 5 days later. And this is the time of her passing. We now have Capricorn on the ascendant.
Yep, we sure do. With that Saturn in the 9th.
Mm-hmm. You know,
right up Pluto's ass, damn.
Yeah, they are like right there together. Saturn and Pluto teaming up is, I don't even know if I know a word for it. It's basically what happened during the COVID. Not to start that conversation, but yeah, when they team up, there's a lot going on, you know.
You've got both. I call Saturn like Big Daddy Dick or Big Dick Daddy. And so is Pluto, and it's kind of like they're boom, coming together with their big old dicks. That's what it's like.
Yeah. Pretty much giving power to a planet like Saturn, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not laughing about what happened here. I'm just laughing about Saturn and Pluto. I know we get misunderstood because we kind of like cut up about little things, but we're not actually ever laughing at anyone's demise. So
absolutely
no. Yeah, in this chart, you know, we now got that Mars and the South Node in the 12th house here. And of course, that was in the 7th house on the earlier chart. This switching to the 12th house does show like, okay, there's an ending here. Now maybe about prison, like the actual death has occurred. So this is where maybe charges get filed.
And what happened with him?
Okay. So he goes to trial about a year later, is convicted of, I believe it was second-degree manslaughter.
Okay.
But anyways, he only gets like a 6-year prison sentence and only serves 2.5 years.
That's what I remember reading. Like what he got really doesn't do justice for what he did. Yeah. And I wonder here, you know, that Mars has now slipped into Capricorn by this point, right? And it's exalted in Capricorn. I wonder if that helps him at all.
I think it does, because even though it's not his ruler, it was in the 7th house before. Yes. So it's something about him. And it's leaving Sagittarius and going into an exaltation, you know, so it definitely shows some leniency, or him kind of not being in a situation. I mean, it should have been way worse, but he's getting cut a break, you know, which is, that I have no words. It's disgusting, you know, but it's like, there's something about him getting in a better position here.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't understand it. That stellium in the 10th house on this chart, that, you know, 10th house is, it can be like police, it can be government, it can be just like the world attention.
Yes.
Did
they handle the case? Has it been stated that they handled the case completely, quote, right? And I ask because of that Mars, right, being the ruler of that 10th house, or one of the rulers of that 10th house. In the 12th, was there any weird shit with the way they handled things?
So from what I understood, and there, oh my gosh, there's so many documentaries I want to watch about this, because there's a lot of information. Just from what I could gather quickly, it almost seemed like the judge had a lot of sympathy for the defendant. Because at the trial, when he was sentenced, I believe Dominique Dunne's dad stood up and, I mean, yelled at the judge and gave him his peace of mind, and was really upset because he thought he was not being very fair. Just as, you know, like kind of like sympathizing and trying to give the guy a light sentence.
Huh. Okay. So well, I don't blame her dad for getting, I probably would have been doing the same thing if yeah.
She had been abused so many times. And so a couple weeks after she passes away, there is an episode of Hill Street Blues that airs that she was an actress on one of the episodes. And in the story, she was like, I believe her character was a single mom that was a victim of domestic violence. She came in with bruises and cuts on her face. The makeup department did not have to do any makeup on her because she came with her own bruises because of this guy.
I remember reading that. That is absolutely horrific.
So based on like, I mean, that's like documented history of abuse. It's even like on TV shows. Like, it's just really outrageous that this guy did not really get punished.
And he had no connection. He had no connections to law enforcement of any kind, or the justice system, or any, I don't know. It just, there's something strange here about that.
Something weird about it. Now, after he got out of prison, he went back to his chef job at, I guess, a pretty famous restaurant in LA. And her family did picket the restaurant saying the chef is a murderer with, you know, pictures of daughter. And he had to end up leaving. The restaurant had to end up firing him. And just because like it was so much negative attention. I believe he also changed his name. I don't know where he's at now. I mean, this is one that like really turns my stomach. I really couldn't like bring myself to try to find out where he's at now because I was just like, oh, this guy. It's just so disgusting. But
yeah, because it is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting.
now we talked about with Heather O'Rourke how in episode 1 on your channel, there's a theory that there's this poltergeist curse because this happens, this is horrible, and then Heather O'Rourke dies at 12 from like a
Intestinal stenosis.
Yeah, basically I don't know, undiagnosed and unsymptomatic condition. Is there a curse? Do you see anything in this chart resembling anything like that going on?
I mean, in this chart, you do have more like you have Scorpio on an because we were talking in the one that we did, Scorpio, Pluto stuff. The rulership book said something about Uranus, right? For like quote curses. And I could put that in quotes because I don't really know that you can even see things like I don't really take that kind of approach. But could there be something say like paranormal or whatever? I mean, to me, this one seems a little more possible, perhaps, just because of Scorpio on the cusp of the 10th. You've got that Mars in like the 12th, and I could see like supernatural stuff being involved with the 12th house. But you have the moon. It's in the 6th. 6th is real world. We've got it in Gemini, which is another sign that's logic and reason, right? So it's
and we saw that with Heather O'Rourke too. There was a lot of 6th house activity too.
Yes. So this just, I mean, no, I think I don't really think there is. I think it's just fucking tragic. But if either of the charts were to support something more supernatural in nature, I would think it would be this one. But even saying that, I still think it's more just like, something shitty happening.
Yeah. And it is good to mention this happens. This is 1982. Heather O'Rourke passed away in 1988. There is a time gap.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say about this chart?
I feel like this was, I mean, obviously this would be painful for anybody's family to have to make this decision, right? To in life support. But here with Chiron in the 4th, it does feel like the pain. I don't know. It just feels like it was not that it wouldn't have cut deep, even if, Chiron wasn't there, but there's something about that being there that it feels like it was just very, 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 very painful.
Yeah, it's painful. So there you have it. I gotta admit, those charts, I don't want to say surprised me. They looked a little different than what I thought. And I found it really interesting. And I feel like it kind of brings a little bit of I guess it tells a little bit of the story. I kind of going back at her being represented by Libra in the original chart, I get the sense she just tried to be a kind person and tried to manage things. And this guy was a complete creep. That's just my final thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems like a good summation.
So thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, go to Ellie's channel, watch our thoughts about Heather O'Rourke and the astrology around her. And Ellie, please tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube at Let's F with Astrology, at my website, SaturnSeason.com, and on Instagram at SaturnSeasonAstrology. And Brandy, where can you be found?
BrandyBurrowAstrology.com and Brandy Burrow Astrology on YouTube and Instagram. So thank you again, Ellie, for joining me and for doing these and matching the episodes. I love matching. So
I do too. And thank you for wanting to keep doing them. And thank you for having me.
Till next time, everyone.